BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lipa at your service. If you know, you know. But in case you've been living without the internet for the last decade, let me talk to you about Blackpink for a second. They're one of the most successful groups of all time. I mean, their fandom's on the level of the Beatles. And they're made up of just the most lovely girls. Jennie, Jisoo, Rose, and Lisa. We have a song together, Kiss and Make Up, which I did because I'm a huge fan of theirs, and even joined them on stage in New Jersey for the first live performance of it. No amount of rehearsal could have prepared me for witnessing the passion and the power of a K-pop fandom live. It's an energy and intensity that they have had to match night after night for the past 7 years. And it's a challenge Jennie and the rest of the girls have risen to each and every time. Their music is globally adored, and I love the way they've brought Korea to the world. As much as I love to travel, I also feel so firmly rooted in my Britishness and Kosovo-ness, if that's even a thing. And so today's guest, Jennie Kim, joined me for a very special conversation about bringing your culture to the stage. I really believe that showcasing your heritage and cultural identity can be such a powerful tool in not just music, but in all walks of life. I was so excited to learn from Jennie's experience and share her journey with all of you. Jennie and I have become friends since that show in New Jersey, and I just adore her, which is why I invited her to join me on this week's episode for what is, in fact, her first ever podcast interview. Let's dive in with this week's very special guest, Blackpink's Jennie Kim. Jennie, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good. I'm very excited for this.
I'm so happy you said yes to doing this with me.
Only because it's you. I am literally shaking right now. This is my first ever podcast, any kind of thing like this. So
well, I feel very honored.
No, thank you for having me.
Okay, so Jennie, since this episode is all about bringing your culture to the world, I'd love to start by asking you, what are some of your earliest Korean and Kiwi cultural memories?
So I moved to New Zealand when I was 10, and I really jumped in without knowing what to expect. The only thing I could say when I went to New Zealand was, "Hi, my name is Jennie." But the scary part is I adjusted to my lifestyle there within the 6 months. I was just so happy to just be around nature and have a different educational life than I had back in Korea. But what's also fun was I stayed at a Korean homestay. So I also had a Korean culture around me all the time while I was living there. And I would always listen to Korean music, watch Korean movies. So I was in between like that Western culture and having the Korean culture around me. So I had a good both side while I was growing up, I think.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I was reading some articles about how quickly you adapted into your life in New Zealand. Like your mum would call you on the phone and you'd be like, "Oh no, I'm completely settled. I'm going trampolining and I'm off." And you were very like confident and independent from a very young age. And I think that's really cool that you were able to also keep both, your Korean culture at home, even in New Zealand, and then to have this new experience. And I know your story's, I guess, a bit similar to mine because I grew up back and forth between London and Kosovo, and you grew up back and forth between South Korea and New Zealand. How do you think you were able to navigate both worlds at such a young age? Like, did you feel like you struggled to fit in? Like, were you able to, have that really kind of authentic experience in both places and make that work for you?
When it comes to the adapting part, I really want to thank my mom in this. I feel like I should explain this too. So my name is Jennie in Korean too, which is very rare because I don't have a separate Korean name. Jennie is an English name that's just written in Korean. So now that I think back, I think my mom always had this wish that I would experience not just my culture and my country back home, but also like travel the world and be that person who's free everywhere I go. Like when I was in my kindergarten, like when I was 7, 8, that's when my mom always taught me about how big the world is and that it's not just where I am right now, but the whole world is
like so big it goes around. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, my mom always wanted me to have that in my life. And luckily, I was just able to enjoy what was in front of my eyes, I think. And I was lucky enough to meet great friends when I was in New Zealand who introduced me to their world. And I think it was a blessing that I had if I look back at it.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's really amazing. I mean, it's cool because I guess in some way your mum just kind of envisioned you having a life not just in Korea, but all over the world.
No, definitely.
When do you feel yourself identifying more with one culture than the other when it comes to your, South Korean and New Zealand aside? Like, you've obviously spent much more time in South Korea as an adult, but I wonder in which ways does like New Zealand come to the surface?
Really, other than food, how I built my personality and how I see the world, I think my lifestyle back in New Zealand has based me to be who I am right now, and how I interact with people and the way I adjust to like new environment. I think it's just the side of me that grew up in New Zealand always is the switch that I turn on when I meet new things. Definitely. Yeah. I always tell people that I am like 50-50 with both cultures, but yeah, like when I meet you, I try to turn on my switch and be the girl who I was when I was like 12.
That's so interesting. I mean, I know that for me, for example, my Albanian heritage is such a big part of my identity, and I lived there as well from the age of 11 to 15. So it's very similar. We have like a very parallel experience in some ways, but I also don't get to always show that side of me in my music. I'm influenced by so many other styles and genres of music. Can you tell me what being Korean means to you, and how are you able to translate that pride in your culture to the work that you get to do as part of Blackpink?
To be honest, I think in the beginning of my career, I guess I had more of that New Zealand side of me where I'm like, let me go out there and then be a part of that world. But as I got into the business and as I got to learn more about myself and my country, because I was based in Korea while we were recording and in the studio and everything, I started to bring more of the Korean side and the Korean culture into my music and my career.
Like they started merging together.
Mm-hmm. And the biggest reason I jumped into this music path that I chose was me listening to Korean music when I was living in New Zealand. And I dreamt of bringing Korean music to bigger world, because I was also living in a world where I was in between the two cultures, and I saw it happen. Like I really wanted to see it happen in the future, and also I wanted to play the part because I feel like I was able to do that with the language barrier and with the lifestyle that I have lived in the past.
What more would you like us to know about your culture and your country that you've not gotten to share with us yet?
One thing that I love to tell people about what I do and like Korean culture and like especially the music industry is definitely the worth ethic that we have towards our job, everything.
Yeah.
And how we go through such a intense training phase in life to become, to actually just drop an album. That I've said this in couple interviews, and I'm sure a lot of people know, but I spent 6 years before I put my first album out as Blackpink, just training to be who I am right now. And I think it's very common in Korea to have this big time of preparing what we might do in the future.
That's amazing. I wanted to rewind back to the beginning of Blackpink, if you'll let me. And I'm so fascinated by the K-pop trainee system, which you just talked about. And I understand like it's a really regimented and rigorous training program where you learn a lot, not just about music and dance, but also about language and media and the way you present yourself to the world. And as you went through training, which is so much about polish and precision and perfection, how are you able to maintain your own identity throughout this?
I've actually never really broken down how I did it, but the people who knew the importance of keeping their own identity and character within the training system are the people that are in the group right now. Like a lot of people got lost in the way because we were so focused to satisfy the people that we were working with, but we weren't sure who we were doing it for and how it can identify us in the future, because it's literally years of training. It's not just a couple of hours. So you get really drawn into the lifestyle that they put us in. And I think the girls and I were, I don't know if is it too controversial to say this? I don't know. I'm like,
no, I don't think so.
Yeah. So
it's like survival of the fittest.
Yeah. The girls and I try to find our own voice and character, and whilst we had like 30 other people training with us, and I guess our labels saw us trying and
saw something really, really special. I mean, I guess the same goes for like actors and, you know, musicians and people that go into like big auditions to get cast for different things. But it's true. It's like the ones who remain, you know, who manage to stay really strong and withhold their identity while at the same time being really good at learning. I think that's how you get chosen, right?
I guess so.
And so Blackpink records their demos in English first before translating them to Korean. And I know you also record most of your songs in Japanese too?
Before we put out the Japanese version album, we used to, actually not anymore, but we used to record the whole main few songs in Japanese, and that was an experience.
Okay, cool. And so then in the trainee days, you know, you also learned different dance styles from all around the world too, like hip hop and salsa and ballet. I mean, you must have such a incredible cultural education. Like, what were some of your favorite inspirations from those trainee days that inspired you and shaped you in the group today?
The variety of different vocal styles that we approached, like we got to experience, was definitely something that helped me throughout the way. But the good thing about the label that I was under was not only they wanted us to be able to sing in Korean, but we would cover so many pop songs as a trainee. So by the time we had to record our actual song for Blackpink, we were able to like play around the language, play around like the rhythm and like all sorts of things that affect the music with the cultural difference, I think. And like some of the things, I don't know which influenced me the most, but some of the things that I struggled the most that I could tell you right now. Does that work too?
Yeah, of course.
We did a lot of like crumping and like popping, like as a genre of dance. And let me tell you this, I am not the best crumper and popping person in the world.
Well, you can't be perfect at everything.
But
listen.
Yeah, but it was, you know, but also learning something that you're not good at helps you to find what your, you know, like what your main genre is when it comes to dance and vocals. So yeah, I have to say, just trying out all sorts of different things has pinpointed to become who I am, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you put it so beautifully, and I think that's really important for everyone listening, is to know that it's okay to try things. And even if you're not good at them, it will lead you to the place where you're evidently supposed to be.
That's what I wanted to say right now.
So I think that's amazing. Yeah, you said it beautifully. And I know one of the reasons you became rapper, Jennie, is because you spoke English. So you got assigned like the rap parts in the cover songs portion of the trainee program. And you've obviously really grown into that rap role in Blackpink. I mean, it's something that the fans love you for. And now that it's part of your artistry, like what are some things that rap allows you to explore and communicate to the world? And what comes over you when you do the second verse rap in Do 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 Do? You know, it's like watching you become an entirely different person.
Actually, I've never really said this anywhere, but I've wanted to. And it's something to do with me rapping. Okay, so like you said, I've gotten into the whole idea of rapping because of the language that I was working with, and that's how I started. And back when I was a trainee, I thought like this is what I was supposed to do. And I got so into it. And by the time that we debut, in my head, I'm thinking I'm a rapper. Like, no, like just in my head, I'm gonna go out there and rap my ass.
Yeah, cool.
But the strange part was like how you said before about finding your identity, like as a trainee too. So after our debut, we did like 6 songs where I would just rap, like seriously rap. And along the way, I kind of got confused because the more I did singing and music, I came to realize that there's a big side of me inside that I love to sing, just play with my vocals. But I actually never had the chance to really explore that as a trainee because I got told that I should be a rapper, you know? So there was a phase where I would hate to rap. Like I was like, this isn't me. Like this isn't the Jennie that I envisioned in my head. Like I don't think I'm a rapper. So there was definitely a burnout season. Is that how do you say it?
Yeah, there was a moment of uncertainty.
There was a moment where I was denying myself just because of the idea that I didn't pick this path that somebody else has picked for me. And then after taking some time off of work and listening to music in general, and then I actually looked back to the videos that I performed and when I was doing lives to like actually see myself enjoying rapping on stage. And that's the moment where I accepted the fact that that is a part of me, but there was a new side of me that hasn't been found within me that I have discovered. So yeah, right now I am lucky enough to have a choice to be a crazy rapper but also sing whenever I want to. So yeah, I would like to say it's a switch inside that just comes out of me. I'm surprised at myself when I rewatch some of the stuff that I did live. I'm like, whoa.
It's so cool to see you like rediscovering so many aspects of yourself, you know, in the process. And, you know, on the Born Pink tour, your amazing fans, the Blinks, have noticed that you really love singing the song Tally.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, that's a song which is about asserting your autonomy when there's a lot of pressure and demands on you. And, you know, as a fellow touring musician, when there's so much of our lives on the road, which can be like, wake up, tour, bus, sound check, quick snack, gym, stage, tour bus, sleep, you know.
Exactly.
And you do it all over again. You know, I can totally relate. But tell me, like, what does that song mean to you? And like, what are some ways that you're able to assert yourself with such a regimented schedule in life?
Starting my career in Korea as a K-pop artist has restricted so many sides of me where it wasn't just allowed to be shown because I'm a K-pop idol. And I was scared, I think, also to express myself. And as things grew over time, I was able to express myself and people would see it as breaking the boundaries rather than she's doing something that she's not allowed to do, and being able to open a new chapter for people that are starting the business in Korea. That's when I realized I want to break more boundaries for people in my culture to understand that expressing yourself as however you want there shouldn't be a standard. There shouldn't be a way to judge. Like there shouldn't be a reason to judge, and just see it as, oh, that's how that person expresses themselves. So I think the song Tally was, I think, one of the first songs that we actually say the F word in the song for us, I think. And at first, when I started performing the song, I couldn't even say it out loud. I was like, ooh, like, yeah, like
Oh, no.
I would kind of like move away from the mic.
From the mic,
yeah,
yeah.
and kind of be scared. Oh, like, what if people think this is like not right, you know?
Yeah.
and then more fans were loving the song, and I was connecting with Blinks. Like while I was on stage when I was singing that song, they were like, "Yeah, do your thing," and they were the ones who gave me my confidence and support to really enjoy the song.
Yeah. We'll be right back.